Hi, guys. Welcome back to Football United TV. This is the F.I.T.A show, Football in the Americas. Let's get to the intro, then we'll get to the show. All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for being here once again. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the MLS, the Messi League Soccer. My bad. The Major League Soccer. That's what I meant to say. That's what I should say. A little humor to begin with. All right, we're gonna do things first, let's get to my. Well, they're not really guests at this point, like my co-hosts, my partners here this show. Johnny, my man, how are you?
What's up, Charlie? Hey, Esteban. Thanks for everyone for watching. Thanks for having me again. Excited for another episode.
Awesome. You can take a look at his online shop, Golaço Kits. All the information is in the description of this stream. So go ahead and take a look. We're gonna show you the website and give you a special promo code later on. And my man Esteban, how are you, hermanito?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me today again. Beautiful day right here in Colombia to go outside to watch some football. So very pleased to be here discussing about what's the most watched league in America right now. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As you can see, he's in full attire. He's only going to be here for like half the show because, well, for good reason. He has a good football game to watch. All right, so let's get things started. We're going to do things in reverse tonight. We're going to start with the scouting part of it, which is one part of the show that I'm really excited about, where we're going to be talking about some, well, not necessarily young players, but just some exciting players in the show we're talking about. So the MLS tonight, and try to place them at like more or less Premier League level so that you guys know like the level we're talking about here. Getting things started with um, Johnny, my man. Are you too familiar with Facundo Ferreira? Facundo Torres. Sorry, my bad.
Facundo Torres. Yeah, Facundo Torres. I'm familiar with him because he started in Peñarol. So he had the chance to play a couple of international tournaments down in South America before he moved to the MLS. He's been doing fairly well in Orlando City. He has about a goal every 2 games, more or less, a little less than that average. And in an Orlando City that's been doing very well. They're currently at the top of the Eastern Conference. He actually played the World Cup recently for the Uruguay national team. He didn't get a chance to play on the field, but he was part of the roster. And he'll definitely be part of this Uruguayan generation that's trying to renew itself. Cavani and Suarez didn't get called in the last or in the current World Cup qualifying round, and he was. So he's definitely part of that mix of that new Uruguayan striker generation. So definitely a name to keep an eye on. He's not super young. He's 23. He's not in his teens anymore, which could mean that he's more ready than a lot of other names. But at this point, we can securely say that he's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be at the Suarez Cavani level, but he can be a useful striker, definitely.
Yeah, I second that. I think he's fast enough. He's tricky enough. I think if you're looking at a mid-table club, more or less, or one of those clubs that's just good enough to avoid relegation, I think he could be a full starter. Other than that, like you're looking more of a squad player. But then again, Uruguay international. He's got grit, like that comes with the blood, and yeah, exciting player. More or less on the age bracket that we're going to be talking about, but the next player is slightly older, and that is he's a little more famous. More people are going to be familiar with him, and that's Sebastian Driussi, who played a long time for River Plate. He played at Argentinian youth level. Didn't get to play for the first Argentinian team. I think that ship might have sailed. He's 27 now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me show you here. And he played at Zenit as well for a while. And he, by the way, you're gonna notice that we're only gonna be talking about attacking players, and that's gonna be one of the topics. Like the MLS is very attacking oriented, and yeah, Driussi, like he could still be in Europe. He definitely could. He's one of those players that like he decided to be a star in the US. Fair enough, exciting enough, but he definitely is like a European player if you need him to be. Like he played at Zenit successfully. He's got good numbers at River Plate, Zenit, and now great numbers at Austin. Does anyone wanna add anything?
Yeah, I really remember Driussi when he started at River Plate because I am a great River Plate fan. But I think that at this point, MLS is full of these 23 to 27 players that we wanted them to be like the next big stars, and they couldn't because one of another thing. And Driussi is one of these names because he started very young. Some people started to compare him with Batistuta, with some big names like Cavenaghi at River. So, and you may see he has a Libertadores and a Sudamericana with River. So he was very important, and I think that he could be in Europe if Russia's situation didn't like happen, because this is something that held some players to still to be in Russia, or some others to jump to another like minor league, or in this case Major League Soccer. So yeah, this is one of the case. I think that this is a really old style striker, if I'm not mistaken, old style striker, like big, not that fast, but with we call it in Spanish hunger of goal. So yeah, I think that he is the name to follow in Austin FC.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he's big. I think he's exactly my height. Like he's like semi tall, but he's definitely not a speed demon, right? Like he's not too fast. I think he's more of a well, he's got a very nice shot, like a very nice touch overall. That's why you see him play centrally. Like that's like he's either gonna be a 10 or a 9, and due to that, I think he could do same argument as Torres there. Like I think he could do a very good job at a lower team in the Prem. Uh, Probably even lower than Torres because he's slightly older as well. Like he's probably reached his prime by now. So it's really like more like him. The best case scenario is that he adapts to a new European league and he plays as well as he plays in Austin, and he is the main player there. I hope Michelle agrees with me and doesn't hate me when she sees this. But yeah, that's it. That's the UC for you guys. And the next one, Esteban's definitely going to be very familiar with. And yo, I was very impressed at this guy's CV. Like he's 23 and he's at his seventh club now, and that's Cucho Hernandez.
Do you guys know what cucho means? Do you know this word, like maybe in Spanish or Portuguese?
No, and I do not want to throw a guess.
His name is Juan Camilo, but cucho means like old man. It's like a slang word for old man,
Okay.
because they said that when he was younger, he used to play like a cucho, like a really old man, because of his technique. He is not that
Okay.
fast, but yeah, he's really technical. So that's a fun fact about Cucho Hernandez. This player, man, this player, he was amazing on Colombia's second division. He used to play for Pereira, the team that was currently in the last Libertadores in the quarterfinals. I think that he was the goal scorer for that second division where Pereira went to first division again. Then he moved to a big name right here that was America de Cali. And after that, we all thought that he was going to be the next big name right here. So I cannot say that it's disappointing because, as you said, he's only 24 years old, but he couldn't fit in the European game. He was, I think, that three teams in Spain. I remember Huesca, I remember Mallorca, but he couldn't like fit it there. He belonged to Watford, but
Getafe was the last one.
and which one? Getafe? Yeah,
Getafe, yeah.
yeah. He played in first division. He already has a great curriculum vitae for being a 23 years old football player. But let's say that as same as some players that they just give a step back to take some impulse to start their career again. Cucho Hernandez came back to America, to MLS, and he is delivering amazing. So I believe that he was already called up for Colombia's national team with this new coach, Nestor Lorenzo. He has been in the national team for about 1 year and a half. He came for the first game of Lorenzo, and now he is not called up for these FIFA's matches right now. But I think that he has something to that he can like add to our team. He is not big, but he plays as center forward, and I believe that he is not that fast. When I see him, he is not that fast, but he has a great shooting. I mean, his shooting is just amazing, and I would play him more as a second striker or attacking midfielder. But he has always played there in the striker zone, and but I mean, we all expected more from him. We all still waiting for him because he is just 24 years old, and we hope that this new MLS era for him will help him to go back to Europe. Same situation maybe as Rafael Santos Borré. I don't know if you know him, the Colombian that used to play for River Plate. He started right here in Colombia, then moved to Atletico de Madrid. He didn't fit there, and then came back to South America to play in River. Kind of something similar to Cucho Hernandez. Now Borré is in Germany playing. He is like 27 years old. Has very something similar with Cucho Hernandez. So I believe that this is going to help him to go back not only to Europe but also to our national team.
And Bode just scored the winning goal in the qualifier right now. So
yeah. So and that's the thing with Colombians. When they don't fit, some they start to just moving from team to team and not settle in one league and start their careers again. But I think that Borré is a great example, not only for Cucho, but for a lot of players that MLS is full of Colombians right now. It's full of Colombians.
Phenomenal assist to that goal, by the way. Just want to shout that out.
From John
Great
Arias,
assist.
right?
Oh, what
Fantastic
a coincidence.
assist.
John Arias, my man. Though, so yeah, MLS is full of Colombians now. I don't know if you have this name on your list, but also take a very good look at Carlos Andres Gomez, who plays for Real Salt Lake. He used to play for Millonarios right here. He is the regular or the most common winger for South American football. Very small, fast as fuck. He is really like sneaky. He's really fast, and he just jumped from Millonarios to Real Salt Lake this year, and he's another big name that we have to add to our scouting list.
All right. Well, another bonus name there.
Yep.
I'll put him up in the next one. But yeah, I like what I see with Cucho. But then again, like you're talking about highlights, someone with that good of a shot and very skillful as well, he's gonna look great. But if you're an Arsenal fan watching this, and I see here in the comments that we have some Arsenal fans there, you're gonna remember him like destroying us when he played for Watford. Destroying us. Like he scored a really nice goal and he got an assist in the game as well. I think we drew that game. Which
and I believe that was his only goal for Watford. He only scored like 1 or 2 goals for Watford.
He might have.
Ever heard?
Huh?
That's the most Arsenal thing I've ever heard.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Then again, like his time at Watford, like he didn't get. I think overall, it might not have been in the Prem, might have been like in the Carabao Cup or something. But his goal and assist tally at Watford was like close to a goal or assist every 90 minutes. It was close, but it's just that he didn't start a lot of games, right? Like he didn't fit into the Prem. But he's an exciting player. Like both him and Driussi, like they're all kind of in the same category. Like you can't really expect them to go to a great club in England. Like it's just not the level. But if you're going to a lower club, I think Cucho would become a winger if he went to the Prem. But I still think he would do a good job. Very skillful, very good shot.
And I believe that he also scored against Barcelona and Real Madrid when he was in Spain.
There you go. He likes big games. That's
Yeah.
that's something to say as well.
But I think the difference between him and Driussi, for example, is if you look at their age, Driussi probably made a lifestyle choice when he moved to the MLS.
Yeah,
Because once you're
yeah,
27, you start thinking less about like, where's my career going next, and you start thinking about where I want to raise my family.
yeah,
Where am I going to get citizenship? Because more and more you start thinking about like, how many more years do I have left? And Driussi went
yeah,
to Austin as the flagship player of that franchise that just started. He's the star of
yeah,
that team. He went there for that purpose, which he wouldn't be that player for any relevant team in Europe. He would just be
yeah.
one of the many players of the roster.
Very true.
So I think that's just a little difference between Driussi and I think every other player that we're going to talk about. It's because he's a little older, you have to take into consideration, the human side of the player. The lifestyle choices over there.
Oh, I fully agree with you. I think it's more or less the same thing when you're talking about the side of the club, right? Like for the club, the outcome of the player, like you're talking about a similar level. But yeah, like he would probably be the most likely to say no to the Premier League right now because yeah, exactly. He just can't get this starship like at any other club. All right,
Yeah,
this
and I don't even think he would get an offer from the Prem, but like probably from a championship team. But like
Or
at this
even
point of
Liga
his career, for
Española.
example, would you rather be the star of Austin FC, or do you want to be just one of the many Norwich players, for example?
yeah,
You
Or
yeah,
know,
maybe Liga Española as well. In the Spain league, he will also fit in some teams. Like I don't know. The Jersey remembers me a lot of guys like um, this striker from Osasuna that are also Argentinian. Avila, I believe is his last name. So yeah,
right,
these kind of players that they are not a big name, but they are considered important in their teams, in
yeah,
a mid-table teams or lower. But yes, I think that it was a good move from Driussi to Austin, also because of everything. I mean, Austin is very Latino place, so
yeah,
he is full with the people, and people expect from him, and he has been delivering for the team. At least is the big name.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
All right, we have one. Oh, sorry, we have one really famous player on the list. The other aren't as famous, and from the more like unknown side, this is the one that excites me the most. Jesus Ferreira. He's also Colombian, but he plays for the American national team. I reckon that now with Balogun decided to play for the U.S., he's not going to be a full starter as a striker, but he's someone that's been scoring like decent amount of goals for a couple of seasons now. He's young. He's not a big guy, but very very decent striker. Like I like what I see. He's very calm on the ball. Like he's got a few assists to his name as well. Of course, like when you're talking stats, all of these guys average close to a goal or assist every game. Close, not exactly that, but close. More than one every 2 games, but they're playing against like subpar defending. That should be said. Like it's not gonna be translated equally if they go to an European side. But yeah, Jesus Ferreira, he looks really good. I don't know if any of you guys are too familiar with him because his
Yeah,
career like is very much like MLS. Oh, you are. There you go.
yeah. His
What's your
father
opinion on
used
him?
to play for Colombian national team, David Ferreira.
And
his
also
father
played 4 years for FC Dallas.
for FC Dallas, and now he is following his father's steps. But unfortunately, it's not okay. It's unfortunate for us because I know that I think that he was born here, but he grew up in the United States. So, I mean, it is normal for him to say that I'm going to represent USA because they have give me everything that I have. So yeah, he is really like his father, I believe. I think his father was more like at number 10, like the old style 10, but also had great shooting like him. And I thought this guy was a little bit older, but no, because he has been playing for a while now. He's not that rookie uh, for being 22 years old. But yeah, I think he's a good prospect for the, of course, for the United States national team. And yeah, he plays very similar to his father. Has great shooting like him.
Yeah, he went pro at 18 years old for FC Dallas. He came out of the academy. So you can definitely see like the father's influence in his career. And I agree with Esteban. It's even though he was born in Colombia, you can see why um, he would choose to represent the U.S., a country that where he was raised. He came out of the academy. That's where he went professional, and it's the first national team that gave him a chance. So um, it's a choice that we see players taking more and more in international soccer, right? Especially, I mean, the most obvious ones are players who were born in Africa and represent the French national team, for example. We see a lot of that in Europe, and we'll definitely see more and more of that inside the United States. Usually with Mexican players, but more and more with South American players as well.
Yeah, yeah. As to placing like this one was a little clearer to me than the rest. Placing him in a team because I think like he might be the most unproven of the four we've mentioned, but I think he's the most exciting. He's the most exciting. He's slightly younger as well. I think you look at a Fulham that just lost Mitrovic, and they're looking at Raul Jimenez right now as their only option up front, and he's just not good anymore. I'm sorry, like it sucks to say that, but after the injury, he was never the same again. So I think you're looking at an instant upgrade there. So I think he's a very decent striker, man, and I think he could have a very solid career in Europe if he decides to. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, so he could very well decide to stay a superstar in the U.S. But I think he has the tools to be a good player. He already is a good player, right? And to top it off, like I think most people expect us to talk about this guy because he was linked to multiple big clubs in Europe for a long time. And it was very shocking to me when he decided to go to Atlanta, a very good MLS club, by the way. But yeah, World Cup winner Thiago Almada. Johnny, I'm sure you know this guy like very well.
Yeah, when Almada came out of Vélez Sarsfield, he was one of those players where like there was enough hype around him where even if you weren't Argentinian, you would like, okay, let me stop to see a game. Let me see what people are talking about. And there's few players that I've did that for. The one before him that I remember doing that for was Lautaro Martinez. I
Oh
remember like, okay, let me
yeah,
stop what I'm doing to watch Racing play because there's something going on there. And
yeah,
Thiago Almada was one of them. And I was never disappointed watching those games. I think it's no offense to the MLS. I think it was a little bit of a shame for his career that he ended up in Atlanta United. I think he ended up taking the same choice that Almiron took when he went from South America to the MLS before jumping to the Premier League. But those are two players that I think could have made that jump directly.
yeah,
I don't know if it's just because that initial money offer was bigger than it would be in Europe, or if it was the prospect of sort of like we were talking about Driussi of being the star of a team, because obviously Almada at Atlanta United gets there at age 20 and is a star, whereas he wouldn't be if he arrived anywhere in any top division in Europe. But he definitely has the skill, has the ability, has the star power to move to Europe to any big team, the same way that Almada did, for example. Almiron, sorry, the same
yeah.
way Almiron did. and that's where I expect him to move. He's 22, he's still young, so by the time he gets to Europe, he's going to be very mature, and so I think the impact is going to be immediate.
This guy has something on his file that is not related about football, and it's something that some people said and conspired that that's why he moved to United States and not to any other team, and that he was charged of abuse like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh,
So yeah, so he is an amazing player. He is full of magic, and I believe he is the classical number 10, at least Argentina number 10. But some say, and that's why I say they're conspiring about this, that he decided to go to the MLS because of the of these charges that he has in his country. And I think that also Lionel Scaloni, Argentinian national team coach, he was criticized because of his decision to call him up for the World Cup. Many people was very upset about this situation, and I mean, everyone is innocent unless they'll declare guilty, but they are still investigating on him, and he is not regular to be in his country because of this. And yeah, maybe this is something that is really different on this guy. That I remember that this guy used to have like 90 potential on FIFA. He was the next big thing for Argentina, but yeah, something happens. Shit happens very often for these kind of guys, and nowadays that everything is everyone can know everything. So
yeah.
yeah, this is something sad about like a part of his story that no everyone knows, but he's a World Cup winner, and of course, who knows if he's going to ever move to the to Europe, uh, whenever this case like closes or something like this. If not, it's pretty. I think that he's going to stay in the United States unless this gets solved.
Okay.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this case is that it happened in 2020 and the investigation started in 2021. So it's already been 2 years since the investigation started. And I feel like whichever way it goes, we want this to get resolved because if he's guilty, he needs to get punished for what he did. And if
Definitely.
he didn't, he has to move on with his career.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so either way, it's been 2 years and I didn't realize that was the reason why he wouldn't move to Europe. I knew about this case. I actually didn't even know it was still pending. This because again, this was something that happened years ago. So yeah, that's
I
interesting to take into consideration.
I was actually totally ignorant toward that, and I'm sorry for that. I should have known, but yeah. Usually, I hate talking about this, by the way, and I'm so sad to see this more and more frequently, which leads me to believe that it always happened. But then, like, people are just like starting to speak up and raise their voices, which is a good thing. But it's sad that it happens so often. You look at what's happening with Anthony now, like so many scandals. But usually, like when these rumors happen, I'm immediately like, you know, when when nothing happened, it's very fast to rule out. Like what happened with Neymar, like that ridiculous accusation. Like he immediately brushed everything off. Like, yo, no, 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 I have the
If
proof.
Neymar hadn't recorded that video of him getting punched by his girlfriend, I
Not
story will be
girlfriend.
different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, not girlfriend.
that's very true. That's very
He's
true.
such an easy target.
Yeah, yeah, that happened. But then again, like when the investigation starts happening like a year after, like it's a whole different conversation. I don't want to stick like I don't want to stick with this topic. But anyway, yes, if he's declared guilty, he should be out of the game. If not, great player, like football wise, like he could be pretty much anywhere. I think that the ship might have sailed for an immediate move to a top team now, but a second shelf team, I think he could do very very well. Very talented player. All right. Well, now we move to the next topic.
I will
Esteban,
have
do you
to
still
jump
have?
off,
Yeah,
guys. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll have
I
to
was
jump
gonna.
off. So, but
My
thank you very
bad.
much. Thank you very much for having me here. I am super excited, of course, always to be here to speak with you and speak about football. And I hope to see you next Sunday. and discuss about some Colombian football. Hopefully we will win tonight against Santa Fe. I have this classic T-shirt that is always bring me luck. So, but yeah,
All
Esteban, I
right, my
just want to
man.
say words cannot describe how jealous I am of you right now. So enjoy the Clásico.
I will send you some videos so we can watch them here. Colombian football is very special, and yeah, thank you very much for having me again.
Check out his Instagram. He's got great content from when he
Good
goes
luck,
to the
man.
stadium. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, good game for you, my man. I'll be rooting. I'll be rooting for you guys. And yeah, next week, Colombian football. We expect you to be back with us. I'll
Thank
catch you
you,
later,
thank you
my
very
man.
much. Enjoy the show, guys. Bye.
See ya. All right, just the two of us once again, Johnny boy.
Mhm.
All right, now let me put up the league. We're not gonna focus on the standings just yet, but because it's a different format, I always like touching on it very quickly. Now I'm familiar enough to be able to explain what's happening here. As you can see, you have two conferences. The Eastern Conference has 15 teams, and the Western Conference has 14. And it's 38 rounds, like most leagues out there. But then you have the first seven spots go straight to the playoffs, and the eighth and ninth spot fight for that. Well, they go into the play-in. They fight for the last playoff spot. Then, as expected, you go all the way from quarterfinal to final of the conference, and then final of the MLS. Did I say anything wrong in there, Johnny?
No, that was all correct.
All right, I'm getting better at this. All right, awesome. So, just very quickly, our main topic, as you guys expect, I know not too long ago we made a whole show that was basically about him, but we're not going to be talking about like Lionel Messi too much in general because the last two games actually, Inter Miami won and Messi wasn't playing. I don't remember what happened. I don't know if he's injured or something like that. He's got a minor knock, but they still won without him. They're still looking very likely to qualify because not too long ago people were wondering, are Inter Miami gonna pull off the impossible? They were dead last. They're still in 14th, but here they're 7 points away from eighth place, 6 points away from ninth place, and they actually have two games less than DC. So they're going to play two more games. So it's looking easy, actually. So
Yeah.
Johnny Johnny boy, do you feel like they could dream to because it's a bigger jump to seventh? Do you think they could dream to get a spot straight to the playoffs?
Straight to the playoffs, I think it's going to be very, very tough. I think they need a combination of results aside from their own wins. I don't doubt that Inter Miami will get the wins that they need because they have been. They're
Yeah.
still undefeated since Messi joined the team. Even the games where Messi hasn't started, even though he comes in the last 10, 20, 30 minutes, that's usually enough to get a goal in and win 1-0 or tie the game if they have to. But the direct spot I think is a little bit too tough. 12 points is a lot. It's they would need more than 1 point per game, more or less,
Yeah.
even though they have one game less than Nashville. Um, but for that eighth and ninth place, I think it's very well possible. It's about a 6 point difference, and they're literally two games down. So if they win those two games, they're already in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I imagine. I'd imagine Miami taking that eighth spot most likely, and yeah, and then we'll see how far they go once you get to the playoffs. It gets a little tricky because you can always get a team that holds them scoreless and takes it to PKs, and then I don't like to say that PKs is a lottery, but it definitely evens out the playing field. So, but as
Absolutely,
far as making the
absolutely.
playoffs, I expect them to do so.
Yeah, but I think ever since Messi joined, they played like two or three PK decisions, and they won all of them thus far.
Yeah, it was Dallas first in the
Yeah,
quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken, of the League's Cup, and then there was another one. And then they tied Nashville again for the MLS when the MLS started again. but there wasn't any PKs there.
Yes.
So, but they haven't been no one defeated them yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Undefeated.
yeah.
Yeah. Looking good, looking good. And well, that goes straight to our next topic because well, we by the way, like watch. I think it was 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. We did a whole show on the Leagues Cup, which is what the competition that was going on there. But we focused a lot on Inter Miami. We had an Inter Miami fan here with us as well, so we're not going to spend too long talking about them. Everyone knows that Busquets and Alba there are there as well, doing bits. And Inter Miami's on pace to get that play-in spot, and if they win that play-in spot, they probably face Cincinnati because right now Cincinnati is running away with it. Like they're at 57 points, very clinical. You don't see a huge goal difference there. Like you expect them to have a huge goal difference with this amount of points, but it seems they're winning most games with a one goal difference because they conceded 30 and scored 44, but still like 57 points. You look at the other side in the Western Conference, St. Louis has 47, New England has 48. They're by far the best. Well, I can't say the best because I haven't been watching, but just like the best at scoring points in the league. And yeah. Are you too familiar with Cincinnati, my man? I know it's not necessarily a traditional club, is it?
Funny enough, Cincinnati was a very traditional club in the USL, the United
Hmm.
Soccer League, which is the second division of the United States, right
Yes.
below the MLS. Um, they were always one of those teams that pulled crowds of 20, 30,000 people in the second division and was always impressive. They used to play in the University of Cincinnati Stadium before they got their own stadium built. So they have a history in U.S. soccer that precedes their integration into the MLS. They had a different logo actually to begin with. They had some decent U.S. Open Cup runs as well before they entered the MLS. So it's not a franchise that started from nothing and now they're there. However, it is pretty impressive that they're in first place right now. Their first couple seasons in the MLS were pretty terrible. If I'm not mistaken, I think their inaugural season in the MLS they finished last or second to last. So for them to shoot up to first place just 3 or 4 years after that is pretty impressive. Especially with their overall record being first, not only in the Eastern Conference, but overall as well.
Yeah.
17 wins in 27 games is impressive anywhere. That being said, yeah, if Inter Miami made it to the playoffs, they would actually have a play-in game with between the 8th and 9th place. Again, I doubt that they'll make it straight to the 7th place or 6th place.
Hmm.
So they would have that extra game to be played, which I almost want to say when they make it, they'll go through and then they'll play Cincinnati, which is going to be a tough team to
Yes.
play against, especially because Cincinnati with 9 points ahead, they only need about another win or two before they can start thinking about resting players, inside of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
they can get there, whereas in Messi already can't play 90 minutes, for example.
Yeah.
Messi's getting rested for half a game, for a third of a game, for 70% of a game, or whatever. It's rare that Messi plays a full 90 minutes. So I think the physical aspect is gonna be very important. Not only in that first playoff game, assuming Miami makes it to the play-in and wins the play-in, but going further into the tournament, because if we think about Messi, Alba, Busquets, all these players ended their European season in May, beginning of June, had about 3 weeks, 4 weeks of vacation, and then started in the MLS again. So they didn't get much of a vacation. They almost played a year and a half straight. So more than anything, I think the physical aspect is going to be important. Then we're going to see a real test of how much like a technical superiority can make a difference as opposed to a physical superiority. It's going to be a real test of two different types of play.
Yeah.
Once we reach the playoffs. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be nice. There's a lot of layers to it. Will Inter Miami make the playoffs? If they do, can Messi start? Can Messi play 90 minutes? Who are they playing against?
Yeah.
Physically, how are they going to look against their opponents? So it's interesting. There's a lot going on.
You gotta say, it's very unfortunate for Cincinnati. They're having such an amazing season, but then in the middle of the season, the team that was in last gets Messi. They become the obvious best team in the
Right.
country, and they're likely to face them in the in the playoff.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's
you
very
finish first,
unlucky.
which should mean like you're gonna get an easier opponent, but no, you get Messi. So
Exactly. So just I'm gonna quickly read through the comments here. A lot of people showing us love. Brush, Eddie's football waffle, Miss Mel, King Said. Big up to all of you guys. Miss Mel again. Bargav actually has a one question here. Big up. How do you guys think Brazil will hold up in altitude? He's probably talking about the Peru game coming up. Johnny, you want to touch on that?
So that's a misconception actually, because the Peruvian national team plays in the capital of Lima, and Lima is actually at sea level, so
There you
there's
go.
no altitude there. There are many places, many cities in Peru that are in very high altitudes. Um, so our listener there isn't completely wrong. Usually we see that more in club soccer in South America, especially playing some some teams from small cities, some small teams from Peru that happen to play up in the Andes. But the teams from the capital and the national team play at sea level. So for the national team, that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah. Well, just because he asked, like, what do you think? What do you think's gonna? What are you expecting from the game, even if it's at sea level? Sea level.
If it's less than 2 to 3 goal difference, I'd be disappointed.
Same here. I don't know if you guys know this, but Brazil like trying out a new manager. He's the new coach. He's the Fluminense manager as well. Diniz won the first game, but very expected win again. Uh, Bargav,
The
because I
Peruvian
missed.
national team is also they the generation that took them to the 2018 World Cup with Cueva, Farfan, Guerrero. Oh man, what's the right back that plays for Boca Juniors?
Ah,
Well, Galindez at goal. It's a generation that reached its peak in 2018, and they're trying to hold on to it, but it's clearly past its prime, and I don't think they've been doing a good job enough to find newer talent. So Peru, I think if they make it to the World Cup, it's going to be a consequence of the fact that 7 out of 10 teams in South America now qualified to the World Cup. 6 directly, one has a shot at the playoff game.
yeah.
And Peru should be better than Venezuela, should be better than Bolivia, should be better than Chile and Paraguay, in my opinion,
Mhm.
still. But even so, for Brazil, again, less than 2 or 3-0 would be a disappointment for me.
Yeah.
Advíncula. That's the song that just came to
Advincula.
me.
Okay. It's all good. Well, Bargav, I don't know which player you were talking about when you said this, but yeah, they're all great. Venezuela was in good form before Colombia. Oh, they
Well,
might. Well, Johnny doesn't
before
seem
they
to be
played a
either.
decent team, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to Venezuela. I have a lot of love for Venezuela, but unfortunately, it's gonna be very tough. It's gonna be very tough for them.
Yeah. All right. Well, just quick break from the table, just to give you a quick words from our sponsors and friends at Golaço Kits. As soon as I find the page, here it is, and I sent it straight to the right page as well. John, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so guys, just a second here to show you the store. I'm a co-owner of GolaçoKits.com. It's spelled the way it is right here under my name. We are a vintage soccer jersey store. We have jerseys from anywhere in the world, from any period of time, different sizes, different prices. there's really something for everyone. Anything from the big teams, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Milan, Manchester United, all the way down to the Congolese second division. And that's not an exaggeration. So check us out. Everything's original. Everything's authentic. We ship worldwide. Doesn't matter where you are. Our jersey will get to you. And we have a stock of over 5,000 items. So again, there's something there for everyone. Check it out. I'm biased, but I think our prices are also very, very fair for what you're getting. So check it out. And also, we have a special promo code for you, or is that for the end of the podcast, Charlie? Sorry if I jumped the gun on that.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. You can release it now. Well, we'll show it again later on. But here it is. Here's the promo code.
There it is. F.I.T.A MLS, F.I.T.A MLS, all caps, all together. You'll get 15% off your entire order. And you can use that promo code at checkout. Again, check it out. If you guys collect jerseys, there's literally something there for everyone. I guarantee you there will be something you like. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome. Yeah. As you can see, like 34 pages of MLS paraphernalia alone. So they have a huge catalog. Use this promo, get 15% off. And thank you once again for this. Awesome. I'm eventually gonna buy something from the second division Congo. Just because you use that example so often, I think it's so cool. I'm probably gonna get one of those because it's so dope.
Yeah. I mean, it goes deeper than that. We have teams from Malaysia, third division Guatemala,
There it is.
lower division teams from Canada. I mean, we go in deep. We don't discriminate. There's
Yeah.
something there for everyone. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, going back to the league, because we're actually making good time tonight. Okay. Going back to the league now. The next subject I want to talk about, and you're gonna see, like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna start like to sound annoying when I touch on this so often because like the fourth show that I touch on this, but the MLS is getting so exciting going like attacking wise. But you watch the highlights, you watch some games, and the defending is atrocious. When I mean atrocious, like, you know, I watch the Campeonato Carioca. I watch the State League in Brazil. I watch some second division games in Brazil, and like that's bad defending in the MLS. And yeah, it's so subpar to what they're doing on the other side of the pitch. That was the topic here. Where is it? And I think my biggest proof here, there might be a better team in the Western Conference, but as you can see in the Eastern Conference, Nashville in seventh has the best defense. 27 goals conceded from 27 games, which is good. Don't get me wrong; it's not a bad resume there, but like if that's the best defense in the whole tournament, I feel like there's something wrong, right? Like as you can see on the other side, you don't have anyone with a better defense. 30 FC Dallas in ninth there, 30 conceded in 26 games. I mean, this is just notorious. I've been talking about this for a long time. But what I want to ask Johnny, and I don't know if I've asked this in the recent past, but do you feel like this culture might start to change now with the addition of some exciting defensive players? Even though I think we've had Rafa Marquez in the past as well, but now like with Busquets and Alba, and just like they're close to getting actually like truly good attacking wise. So do you think you're gonna see a cultural shift and like people start like investing in defense a little more? Because that's got to be the next step.
I Okay, so I definitely agree. When you say that's gonna be the next step, but I don't think it's something that's gonna happen anytime soon. And by soon, I mean maybe in the next 5 years.
Okay.
You're right, but Rafa Marquez did play in the MLS. He played for New York Red Bull, and currently we have Chiellini, probably
Okay. Yeah.
undisputed top three defenders of this century, who's playing in the MLS right now. But
That is a bold statement, Johnny boy.
Chiellini, I don't think it is, man.
Top 3 of the century, like undisputed.
I mean, yeah.
Okay,
I say that
I'm
very
not-
confidently, man. I'm
I
open
mean,
to debate to debate
I
that, but
would I would never try to debate you. I just thought it was bold. That's all.
no, I mean, I don't know if I can name 3 defenders this century that you could. I mean, whatever. That's not where we're going with this this conversation. Okay, let's say top 10. Definitely, I don't think anyone put him out of the top 10.
Okay,
So
yeah, there you go.
just so we can move on. Okay, top 10. But those are very few and apart.
Yeah,
The MLS salary cap system makes it so that teams would prefer to invest their money in attacking players, whether those be center forwards, wingers, midfielders, even Alba, who's a right back. I would argue that you get Alba, you know, more thinking about the plays that he can create, the crosses he can put in the box than the defending he's going to do in the back line, right?
of course. Yeah,
Same with Busquets. Obviously, he's a more of a defensive-minded midfielder, but when Inter Miami gets Busquets, it's so that he can start the plays with quality from the back. It's not so that he can, fall back in between the 2 center backs and, close that line. It's thinking about how the offense is going to start with quality from the back.
yeah.
So that being said, I really think that what has to change is either the designated player policy in the MLS, or maybe at some point one MLS team decides to change philosophy on their own and invest in 2, 3, 4 very defensive-minded players, and maybe have a team that's not a quote unquote exciting to watch in the American conception of that word, which is attack and score, and maybe have a team that's very solid on the back that wins games 1-0 every time, but wins. And then maybe a team like that can have a shift of mentality within the whole league. And we can see examples of that in other leagues and in other leagues around the world. But in
What
general,
Johnny
no,
here's talking about is commonly known as the Jose Mourinho effect.
yeah, that's a great example. Jose Mourinho is great. Man, and not to go into a very deep conversation about Brazilian soccer, but I think the São Paulo of 2006 to 2008 of Muricy Ramalho ruined Brazilian soccer. And I say that, that's my team in its most winning time period ever. And it ruined Brazilian soccer because it was a very defensive team. And then because it won everything, it became something that other teams aspired to be. And it ruined the Brazilian mentality of like attack and be creative and but anyway, again, not to deviate too much from our conversation, but
I don't think you're deviating whatsoever, because you look at Johnny and I are going to use some Brazilian examples. We're both Brazilian, right? And I think it's a very interesting connection that you're making right now that I didn't think of. You look at the 3 teams that won the Club World Cup in Brazil. You look at São Paulo, Inter, and Corinthians. Those were all defensive teams. Like it's, and for the DNA of the nation itself, yeah, it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks that an attacking Flamengo couldn't win, right? Like, even though I hate them, but a very defensive São Paulo could, a very defensive Inter with Abel Braga could, right?
Yeah, and you don't see that so much, for example, in Spain or Germany, because those are leagues that are very dominated, by 2 teams in Spain, and 1 team in Germany. But for example, in Italy, in the beginning of the century, Milan and Inter kind of dominated the Italian league, and those were very offensive teams. And then Jose Mourinho, like you said, came along, won the treble with Inter, and that was a very defensive-minded team, even though they had Eto'o, they had Milito, etc. And then Allegri's Juventus was like everything they won was based on their defense. Chiellini was part of that, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah,
and now Napoli had to come along and break that cycle. Well, you could argue that Milan broke that cycle first, but
yeah,
Napoli is even more offensive minded, and so I think soccer is cyclical in that sense.
hmm,
But again, I think MLS as a league is more worried about being attractive to the viewers,
yeah,
and by viewers more specifically to American viewers that maybe aren't used to watching soccer.
yeah,
So, and what American sports fans are used to seeing is a lot of scoring, right? Whether
yeah,
that be in the NFL or the MLB or the NBA or the NHL even.
yeah,
So I think that that's a reflection of what we see. Like you said, the best defensive team in the Eastern Conference still concedes one goal per game, and I think that's where that's coming from. So I think what has to change is either a rule by the league or a very defensive team has a lot of success within the MLS and kind of changes the mentality in that way.
yeah. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. And yeah, that goes back very well to the last stream we did on, well, North American football, talking about the Leagues Cup, and we asked if the MLS, if you thought the MLS was gonna could become the best league in, like, outside of the top five European leagues in 5 years' time. And most people said no. I said no myself. Johnny said no as well. And if they don't improve their defending, that's always going to be that way, because as exciting as it is, you take Inter Miami, like, very exciting team. I'm very confident that if they play Palmeiras 10 times, they lose nine. Like, I just feel like the best American defenses just would not be able to cope with Brazilian attackers. It's just like the structure is not there for that too. I'm sure there, like, in addition to the two things you said, I'm sure, like, there's kind of like a minor philosophy as well, like, not just becoming like defensive oriented, but just improving defense. I'm thinking they have to improve, like, their whole, like, defensive IQ. Like, it's, I don't know, it's a long way to go, because attacking wise they're doing okay. And okay, that's kind of it. Let's just, oh,
Yeah, definitely. And a lot
okay,
of the goals that Messi has been scoring, not to no, sorry, you broke off for a second and I
yeah,
started talking, but
I kind of froze. Keep talking.
no, I was just gonna say that even a lot of the goals that Messi has been scoring, if you look at them from a more tactical point of view, you'll notice that, like, one guy is marking him in the midfield, and he gets, juked or gets lost in a 1-2,
Yeah,
and then Messi just runs so freely into the box, and the ball finds him, and so yeah, not the toughest defensive schemes in the MLS, but it's just a matter of time. A lot of the times, the thing is, the MLS has almost very quickly risen to a relatively important place in the world of soccer. Like,
yeah,
people forget that the MLS was founded in 1996. Like, that's
yeah,
very, very recent. The English league was playing in the 1800s. Like, put that
yeah.
into perspective. So, uh, in soccer years, the MLS is an infant, and they're already at a place that's relatively relative. In the overall scheme of the sport and the
Yeah.
planet. So, there's lots to improve, but that's not to say that they haven't come a long way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna try to speed things up, because clearly my connection's kind of scary, and I'd hate to leave Johnny here alone.
Me too.
That could be quite traumatizing. Yeah, that could be quite traumatizing. So I'm just gonna get through the league. I totally forgot to talk about the poll we have, and it's a cool one. I didn't want to bring up Beckham because he kind of, like, brought back that trend of great players joining the MLS, and I don't want to talk about Messi because Messi. So I asked who you guys thought was the biggest transfer there. Thierry Henry to New York Red Bull, Pirlo to New York City, what were the other two? Rooney to DC United and Kaká to Orlando City. I actually have to verify to take a look at have to take. Who would you vote for, Johnny Boy?
Henry to New York Red Bull, and I'll explain why. I think that was a
Go ahead.
move that early on, that was very early on, a lot more than all of the other examples. The MLS was in a completely different
Yeah.
place, and it was a 100% lifestyle choice.
Yeah,
You could argue that Kaká as well, because Orlando has a very big Brazilian community, direct flights to every
huge.
Brazilian major city, et cetera, et cetera. For Henry to go to New York Red Bull in 2010 was pretty big. I think it was the first world class player, non-American, non-Mexican, to play in the MLS. It was pretty groundbreaking. And he often talks about the fact that it was the first
I
time in
agree.
his life since he was, I don't know, 16 or 17, that he could walk down the street with his family and no one bothers him. Um, which
Yeah,
says a lot about where the MLS was in 2010, but also about how New Yorkers in general are. They mind their own business. So I would say that was
yeah,
huge. That like within the context of the time, Thierry Henry at New York Red Bull 2009, 2010, that was huge.
yeah. I voted for Thierry Henry myself. He's at 33%, along with Rooney and Pirlo and Kaká share 17%. And by the way, there was another. We don't play Dungeons and Dragons. My bad. But here you said we didn't. I didn't pick the four. Huh?
No, Jermaine Defoe was another big one.
What?
Toronto.
No, yeah. I wasn't trying to pick like the four best MLS players of all time. Like I'm talking about like four superstars that like weren't expected to go to the MLS. But I know I'm like Dempsey was a better MLS player than all of these guys. I'm assuming like it's a lot of guys have. Uh,
Donovan,
the nice
for sure.
Donovan as well. Like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like major like European superstars in general. And yeah, that's it. So just very quickly taking a look at the table here, you have Cincinnati dominating New England, Orlando City, Philadelphia, who are the current vice champions, right? Like they got second place in the last one. Columbus, Atlanta, great team, and Nashville, which is likely to be maintained. Like these seven should stay within the seven first spots, right, Johnny?
Yeah. I want to say, just in terms of numbers, Atlanta and Nashville have a little risk of going down to the play-in instead of the direct spot. But even so, like if they just tie the rest of their games, they don't even have to win anymore. They're probably safe. So at this point, it's just a matter of trying to finish in the highest seed you can to, in theory, get a weaker opponent in the
Mm-hmm.
first round. But those should be the teams that we see. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So since they don't have a relegation, the rest doesn't really matter that much. Inter Miami is the only team that people are looking at, right? Like a little more with a huge chance of qualifying for the play-ins because of the whole Messi, Busquets, and Alba effect. Even though you take a look at from 9th to 14th, it's only a 6 point difference. So a lot of teams in the mix there. And well, any big surprises on the table? I forgot to ask you other than Cincinnati, which is an obvious surprise.
Big surprises. I wouldn't say so. No, I mean, personally, I wouldn't say so. I imagine maybe New York City doing a little better. Um, Toronto. I mean, I'm kind of shocked at the situation in Toronto, where the players had a mutiny basically against the coach.
Wow.
The team sided with the coach, but then changed their mind, fired the coach. So Toronto has been a complete mess. So maybe they
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing as bad as they are, with Bernardeschi and the team and all that. But aside from that, everything seems pretty normal.
All right. And then the Western Conference, we have St. Louis in first with 47 points. You see that no one doing nearly as well as Cincinnati. Seattle Sounders, a great team. Current champions LAFC in third. Real Salt Lake, Houston Dynamo, Vancouver, Minnesota, and then the play-in spots with San Jose and FC Dallas. But you also have like a very small difference between 8th place and 12th place here. LA Galaxy and Colorado are kind of in the mud, but other than that, like everyone could still dream, right, Johnny?
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, Sporting KC is 2 points away from the play-in spot. That's one game, and even LA Galaxy isn't too far behind.
Yeah, sure.
But they've been in terrible form. So yeah, but in terms of numbers, I mean, it's doable. But I think it's more between Portland. Yeah, even Sporting KC, just because of the way they've been playing, I would put Portland and Austin more in contention for that play-in spot.
Okay.
And interesting to see Louisville, sorry, St. Louis, their first year in the MLS.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, they won their first 5, maybe even first 6 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, which was pretty crazy. And yeah, it's a cool team. They have their own stadium, which is like in downtown St. Louis. Nothing crazy, just like a stadium that's the perfect size for their team, for their city. The fans embraced it. So yeah, if I'm shocked of anything in the Western Conference is that St. Louis, a team that 9 months ago didn't exist, is in first place in the Western Conference, on their way to win the Supporters Shield, which is the prize that the best team overall in the first round of the MLS, both conferences combined wins. But yeah, everything else again seems pretty much.
That's Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, sorry, Cincinnati is 57. You're right. Yeah. Sorry, I saw the 47. Cincinnati.
No, it's all good. But Cincinnati is also like in a very new team in the MLS. So like the rookies or semi-rookies are like they're doing quite well. But yeah, that's about it. I think we summed it up nicely. Let me stop the share screen. We're finally going to be able to finish the show within reasonable time, which is not something we usually pull off. Johnny, my man, anything else you want to say?
Regarding the MLS, I don't think so. Aside from, let's keep an eye on Inter Miami. It'll be interesting. I mean, it would be absurdly epic if Inter Miami made it to the playoffs and went all the way after being, dead last before Messi's arrival. So that would be a story. That would definitely be a story. So we'll keep an eye on that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Again, Golaço Kits right here. F.I.T.A MLS promo code 15% off. Check the website out. There's something there for everyone. Thank you guys for watching.
Absolutely. You can take a look at their Twitter and their Instagram account in the description. Take a look at the website that's also there and use this promo code. And yeah, thank you so much. Next week, we're going to be talking about Colombian football, or hopefully Esteban's going to be happy talking about a derby win. If not, it's going to be quite a miserable show. But anyway, looking forward to it anyway.
I honestly can't wait. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in the Colombian league.
Yeah, man, that's an exciting one. In general, like Colombian players, there's a couple I want to talk about as well playing in Brazil. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here till now. I'll catch you later. See you next time. Ciao.